talk about doubts. Let's talk about doubts. Doubts are produced in the mind. Doubts are produced in the mind primarily. I'll talk about other sources of doubt, but they're produced in the mind. But unbelief comes from the heart. Can I say these few things? Unbelief comes from the heart. Someone say unbelief comes from the heart. Doubts come to the mind. All right, how does this thing work? Well, let me say this first. Faith and unbelief cannot exist in the same heart. We need to establish that. Faith and unbelief cannot exist in the same heart because faith comes from the heart. Unbelief is from the heart. So if you have faith, you have faith. If you have unbelief, you have unbelief. The two cannot live together. You cannot have faith and unbelief. But you can have faith and deal with doubts in your mind. I'm trying to help somebody here. Because sometimes we don't understand how this thing works, and we say, well, I don't have faith. You do have faith. The Bible says it's given to everyone the measure of faith. If you're a believer, you have faith. How many believers do I have here? All right. So that means that you have faith. Because by grace are you saved through faith. And that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God. Not of works as any man should boast. So you cannot be saved without faith. And that faith was not your faith. God gave you that faith to be saved. So you have faith. So you have the capacity to do exactly what we're talking about here. All right? So it's possible to have faith and still deal with some doubts in your mind. But when it comes to believing God for a specific thing, you cannot have faith and unbelief in your heart at the same time. But you can have some doubts. But here's the caution. Here's the caution. Any amount of doubt will affect the quality of your harvest. Let me tell you how this thing works. You have thoughts of doubt that come to your mind. And there's two sources of doubt. One is your own mind, and the other one is Satan. All right? So we deal with this bombardment of thoughts. Here you are, believing God for something, and your mind starts talking to you. And then Satan starts encouraging your mind and reinforcing your mind. Now you're dealing with doubts. But now the next stage now is to have doubt in your mind as an established thing. Now it's an attitude of doubt. So you can move from having a few doubts to being of a doubtful mind. And then if that is allowed to continue, that doubtful mind will create unbelief in the heart. So it starts in the mind and ends up in the heart. And that's what Satan tries to do. He tries to erode and cancel our faith, first of all with doubts, and then move us to a doubtful mind, and then take us to unbelief in our heart. And once we get to unbelief, then the promise of God cannot be fulfilled at all. Now let me break this down and explain this to you so we can really understand this